This is AJ from Headshot Cafe, and I'm here with Richard Botto. Botto, is that how you pronounce it?
Botto is correct.
Botto is great. From Stage 32. I think you guys going to really enjoy this. It's something really different. We've had actors, we've had filmmakers, independent filmmakers we've interviewed, but we have not had somebody like this before. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in and doing this.
Pleasure.
First question I got is, why Stage 32? What's the meaning behind the title?
The name, yeah, I get a lot of questions about that. It's in the spirit of the site. Stage 32 was originally, Paramount Stage 32 was originally an RKO soundstage, and on that RKO soundstage, they filmed Citizen Kane, which one of my favorite movies, but also encapsulating the independent spirit that Orson Welles had. I mean, a lot of people think that Orson Welles was a sort of a dictator type, as a filmmaker, but the reality is that he was a true collaborator, and he listened to everybody. And if you're going to be in films, you're going to be in theater, you're going to be in television, you have to be a collaborator. So we took the spirit of that idea and just turned it into Stage 32.
Very cool. That's great. I love it when there's some meaning behind the name of something. A little bit I know about your site. It's a social media site to put creative types together. Writers, directors, filmmakers, photographers, anyone interested in the movie business.
Or television or theater, yep.
Television or theater. It's international, it's all over. We'll get more into that. But let's just start with here. So it's like a melting pot. It's a meeting place online, and you have a thing called the lounge there, which is pretty cool.
Right.
So our audience is all mainly aspiring filmmakers and actors. A little history on how you came up with this idea. Why did you start this? How would it benefit them? And I'll interject and ask you a couple of things here, because I'm interested in learning too. I can read it on your site a little bit, but I'd rather hear from you who started this.
Right. Well, I like to joke that I'm like the Cy Sperling of the site. That I'm not just the CEO and the president, but I'm also a member. And that's true. I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah, you've got an extensive background in screenwriting and
producing, acting, screenwriting. So, I know the trials and tribulations that anybody involved in this business goes through. And there are a myriad of challenges. And we were at the American film market a couple of years ago, pitching a movie that we were doing for our production company that was pretty far along, had some money into it and whatever. And we were watching all these filmmakers, all these producers, all these screenwriters who had, come to Hollywood for that week, come to Santa Monica to pitch their projects. And, everybody you look at their faces in the morning and they're all pumped up and psyched and they're ready to go. And then come 4 o'clock, you see them in the bar and they're like, and they're drowning their sorrows. And you listen to the tales of woe and, you hear about these people that have come halfway around the world to do this, and now they're going to go home and they're going to wait another 51 weeks to come do it again. And that got us thinking, saying that, there has to be a way in a virtual world, with the advent of the internet,
to connect
people 24/7, 365. Not to mention the fact that the biggest misnomer when it comes to filmmaking and television is that everything happens here in Hollywood.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm from India. We make more movies in Bollywood than they make in Hollywood.
Absolutely. It's global, and creativity is global. So we just felt that there needed to be a forum for people to be able to go to, like I said, 24/7, 365, to be able to connect, a producer in London with a screenwriter in LA, and recently we had a composer in Denmark connect to a filmmaker in Chicago. I mean,
and when you say connect, they collaborated.
They collaborated. They connected. The one I just referenced, the filmmaker in Chicago, had spent 8 months trying to score his film. He brought in legions of composers, could not find anybody that could capture the spirit of the film, and just went out on 32, went into the lounge as you spoke about, said, hey, send me some samples, here's a clip, send me some samples, and he ended up signing a guy from Denmark.
And he put all that on your site?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The clip and all of that was put on the site?
Everything. Said, here, score this piece and send it back to me. And he got in, maybe 50 or 60 submissions, and he ended up getting a great piece of music from a guy in Denmark. And that's
who scored the film. Deal and he scored the film.
And he sent the entire, and they didn't even meet.
They spoke over the phone.
Sent the whole thing to him, and he scored it, and they went back and forth and back and forth. And that's the beauty of it. And that's what the site offers. The same thing with actors. I mean, actors will be able to send, they put their reels up online. They put their resumes up online. Producers are able to look. Producers are able to go into the project section and say, this is my project. This is what I'm looking for. Show me your reel, send me your clips.
So an actor can, join, just like, I'm going to make the Facebook reference because it's
Sure,
like
yeah,
Facebook, except it's for a limited community, it's not just broad.
We call it Facebook meets LinkedIn
Okay.
for film, theater, and television
Okay.
creatives.
So an actor can go create their profile or whatever on Stage 32,
Right.
and they can put their pictures, their resume, and now casting directors, agents, managers all have access to look at this, and they can put a little sample reel of theirs on there.
Yeah, and not only do they have access, agents and managers and casting directors, but they have their own profiles, and they will actively post what they're looking for. So you're part of the entire community. There are managers that are out there that that are on the site that for, let's say, for screenwriters per se, saying, I'm looking for high concept thrillers. I'm looking for small budget indies. I want scripts that can be shot for $500,000 to $1 million. Send me your scripts. Send me your ideas. Send me your log line. Send a synopsis. And this goes on all day.
So if somebody has an idea for something, now there's a place for them to go and look for talent, look for the people who want to be in that project, put people in that project. Before, you had to wait for an agent or a manager to send it to a casting director, or a casting director to put out a notice that they're casting something for a show, and then it was limited to people who had, now it's just this,
It's one-stop shopping in a
the
way.
digital and the internet. We interviewed a couple people recently who made their own independent films.
Yep.
Low threshold to enter to make a film, not a lot of money today with the digital technology to make your movie, so how do you see this changing the way films are made and the way people collaborate?
Well, I think you're hitting right on it. I think that the independent movement is well back on the way. The sort of renaissance of what we saw in the mid '90s, minus the studio involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Where you had the mid majors and the studio with the studios with the independent arms. Now you have so many distribution arms that are looking for content, that people are able to go out there and film their own movies and find distribution, on some level, whether it's direct to video, or whether it's to cable or to Netflix, or it's 5 theaters and platforming. Where I think it's changing is that you used to still have to be able to go and find your talent, and you used to most of the time you would have to find it locally, local
Yes.
ads and so on and
Yes.
so forth. Again, now you're global, okay? So the barrier to entry, not only in cost, obviously, and access, as we've spoken about, but to casting and to finding, let's say, a DP, finding a composer, as we spoke about, that barrier has come down so far, and this site is contributing to that, because part of the challenge, of course, was is always raising funds, of course, but it's also finding the right people to put the project together. Well, there are a lot of people on the site that fund films. Okay,
You've got producers and money financiers on there.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that are
looking for a good project to fund.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what we also have, which is kind of cool, is you have producers that have worked on bigger films, that have worked inside the studio system, that now have found that to be such a challenge and almost not worth the effort, that they want to go out and make their films. And what they're doing is they're coming on the site, they're putting up the project, they're saying, this is what it's about, here's what I need, we're looking for a little bit of financing, but we're also looking for this type of talent, and they just put the whole project together. We have one producer that is in the process of making a film, the financing, every
Everything's
aspect
on the
of
site.
it, with all Stage 32 people. And I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, and we're seeing more and more of that. We've seen it where that's partially happened, but now we're starting to see
Seeing
it
more and more
where
of it,
it's
yeah.
all encompassing.
Okay, so let's go back 2 years. So you get this idea of putting these people together. Let's have some vehicle. How does that go from idea to Stage 32? Because you started this about a year ago. Stage 32
Yeah.
went live or
September 2011. Yep.
2011, right? So how do you go? We all have ideas.
Right.
Let's do this, let's do that. So how did you go from there to making a very, very cool and functional social media platform?
It took probably a year of planning.
Did you have background in programming and in social media?
I had backgrounds in internet marketing,
Okay.
and e-commerce, but I think as important, I had the background in film, and because I think that really did play a big part in this. We didn't want to, I certainly didn't want to enter this as just a business guy. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I wanted to enter this from a point of vision of a creative who has, faced those challenges before, and what would I want out of this site. And so once we started putting those ideas together a little bit, saying, okay, we get the idea of how people are going to connect. And we talked about Facebook, and Facebook's great for family and friends and sharing photos and everything like that. But I think for the creative community, I don't think there's much of a benefit.
Okay.
LinkedIn, I kind of feel the same way, because if you're a sales manager, if you work in those are good connections to have. But actors, if you're an actor and you're on LinkedIn, the challenges of trying to find your way through a job is impossible. And then, of course, their forms, unfortunately, but very true, are filled with a lot of spam. So we said, okay, we need a place where there needs to be a benefit for the creative as far as their career is concerned. But we also want to make it fun, okay? And we also want to keep it positive, which is a challenge when you have a lot of people, because you have a lot of opinionated people. We all know that creatives, of course, are very opinionated. And we want to keep it, we want to keep the positive energy flowing, but we also want to make it a place where people are actually going to benefit from it professionally. So those were the challenges we faced.
Those are the things you wanted to build something up
around.
So now, how do you get to?
Well, the first thing we decided very early on was that we were going to be very active in the site. As the CEO, I'm the front guy. I'm out in front of it every day. I'm posting on there every day.
Yeah, I see. I get your newsletters and you have little blog
posts,
which are great.
Yeah, and the blog is a great example as well. The whole mission of the blog is to educate and entertain. And, to be able to say to a community, we're going to bring in people that have done it. Bring in a Doug Richardson, who wrote Die Hard 2 and Money Train and Hostage. Danny Rubin, who wrote Groundhog Day. Terrence Stamp, who, 79 film credits to his name, Academy Award nominated actor. To be able to bring people like that into the site and have them represent Stage 32 by writing and being an active participant in the community, that I think gives us the credibility, for creatives to say, okay, not only do I get to network with all these people, but these are people who have done it and have done it on a major league level.
Where do you go find the programmers and get this whole model off the ground and then beta test it and
We have, if you could believe this, there are basically two full-time workers on this project.
That's it.
Myself and our programmer Derek, who has done, I would say, 99.9% of the programming on the site, if not 100% really. He's a little bit of a boy wonder. But, it's great because the two of us work very, very well hand in hand. We understand each other and he understands what I'm going for.
So it's really two of you running this?
Yeah, we have a couple of freelance people that help and a couple of part-time people that help out. But in the day-to-day, it's just the two of us, yeah.
Okay, and now what's really fascinating to me is your site's been live for a year. You're in 150 plus countries, and I was reading today on there, you're just over 80,000 profiles, 80,000 members on there.
It's actually 180 countries.
180 countries,
yeah,
okay.
80,000 members.
I didn't know we had so many countries.
Yeah, I think there's 194. We're pushing for the last 14.
What do you attribute this phenomenal growth in 1 year?
The universal appeal of creating. That's my feeling. You always hear that comedy is regional.
Yeah.
What plays in America doesn't play in England, and so on and so forth. It's not true when it comes to being a creative. When it comes to dreams and aspirations and all the things that go with being a creative, the inspiring moments, the defeating moments, the doubt, the need for support, especially the need for support, which is one of the great things about the community is everybody lifts everybody else up because it's relatable. It's relatable to everybody.
Everyone's there with the same idea and the same end result. They want to be in this, make something creative, collaborative people. But no marketing, because 80,000 members in a year is pretty damn good.
We ask every single person that joins the site to invite 5 fellow creatives. We ask them to pay it forward. And, at the beginning we were a little bit worried about that because we thought people would think that it was sort of like this kumbaya kind of thing, that, and that it was, maybe there would be some cynicism to that. But the reality is there's not. And in fact, people won't stop at 5. They'll invite their acting classes. We have acting teachers that'll invite their classes, filmmaking coaches that invite people that come to their seminars. it doesn't stop because everybody sees the benefit of it. Even film students, which is one of the other reasons we really wanted to start the site, because I know when I was in school, everybody wanted to talk to me about the craft.
Yeah.
You know, whether I was in an acting class, whether I was in a filmmaking class, a screenwriting class, didn't matter. Everybody wanted to tell me about the craft, but then when I got done with school, I didn't know anybody.
That's right. I went to film school in 1980. To make a 2-minute student project was expensive with 16mm
Sure.
film and getting it processed and then dailies and then negative cutting.
And then how'd you get it seen?
And then you can get it seen.
Yeah.
The 6 people who worked on it saw the film.
That's it. That's right. And your family and your friends.
Maybe.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
I have a friend that tells me says to me if I wanted to know how great I was, I'd go ask my mother.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you can't even get constructive criticism, you know, because you're showing it to everybody that's not going to tell
Now,
you what it is.
80,000 members. A majority of them active on the site.
Oh, very.
Very
Yeah.
active.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say everybody's
No,
active,
sure,
but
sure.
but it's a very, very active community. It's grown exponentially, you know, especially over the last 6 months. The activity has been raised because I think as people see the success stories that go on in the site,
Mm-hmm.
of course, there's a credibility to that as well. And I just think that it's at a point now where people understand that it's not a gimmick. That, you know, things are really happening. People really are finding work. People really are getting projects off the ground. It's happening, you know. So it's become almost like a movement, which is very, very cool, and you know, very rewarding for me, obviously, to watch that happen.
This is what you wanted when you said these people are going to come back to the film festival to try and sell their movie another 51 weeks later, you know, and you got them interacting all the time now.
Yeah.
What's karma points? I was reading something about
Well,
karma
wait,
points.
okay, so one more thing.
Sure.
You know, one other thing I just want to say is I'm a walking, talking example of this. I'm in pre-production on a film called The Endgame that I wrote. I met my producer, or you know, I'm co-producing the film, but the producer that is kind of moving the rock up the hill, or the boulder up the hill, is someone I met on Stage 32.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, so I'm a walking, talking example of it. I think that's another thing that I think gets people, because I talk about it. You know, I make it known that that's happening. So I think that's another thing that makes people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Before I get to the karma points
Sure.
question, one more. How do you have a way to filter out if projects are legitimate, not legitimate? You know, because there is a whole sleazy element to making small independent films. If you see some of the casting notices on like Craigslist and all that, you
Yeah.
never know. So
Yeah.
do you have a way of filtering out what the projects are, or is it's just if I'm a member I can post what I want?
Well, no. Yes, you can.
I
But there's two answers to that question. One is that we ask the community to police itself.
Okay.
And we are very vigilant about that as far as, you know, when we receive complaints, we have, you know, an easy way for people to submit complaints. We take that very seriously. We don't allow spamming. That's one thing. We have a zero tolerance to spam. But as far as the projects are concerned, I can tell you that in a year, we've had not one complaint about a project. Now, within the project section, you can see projects that are being listed that aren't looking for talent, and those are projects where people have an idea and are trying to see if other people would be interested in that idea, maybe to help further it. And then there's another way to list the projects or to look at the projects where it's people that are actually seeking talent. And those people will describe, if they're a producer or a screenwriter, or whatever, they will describe how far along they are in the project as far as if there's funding attached, is there not funding attached, and what they need to get the project whole and get it
So
going.
there's a lot of interaction and a lot of back and
Absolutely.
forth, and you can see the progress of the project going on, and
Yeah.
and like you said, policing.
It is self-policing, but you know, I'll tell you,
Any horror stories?
No, you know what? It's funny. No,
Great.
we've one of the things. You asked why it took so long. Well, not so long, but you know, bringing it to the project from idea to live.
I think it was quick. I mean, not
Well,
long,
yeah. Well, one of the things that took so long, that took a while, was that we built in all these protections, all this code for spamming and for abuse, and we haven't had to use any of it. I think we've suspended, and we're talking about 80,000 members here, we've suspended, I think, about 12 people, and almost every single one of them was spam. I think we had one person that was a little
And by
abusive.
spam is they're just trying to push a product
Push
or
their
push
project,
their project to something.
and I'll tell you, like 3 or 4 of those had nothing to do. They were the people that signed on and said, you know, I'm from Nigeria and I need money, or they weren't even filmmakers, you know.
Okay.
So, but that's been one of the greatest surprises about the site.
That it's so clean and gone so smoothly.
Everybody's so positive, man.
Okay, so not a karma points. What is karma points?
Karma points. Every activity when you participate in the site.
Okay. And participate means
Posting, being active,
commenting on something,
critiquing,
Okay.
liking videos, like looking at somebody else's video, liking it, looking at somebody else's log line or synopsis and liking it, and mostly inviting other creatives to the site. You earn karma points. Right now, we're running an invite a friend contest. It's a 30-day contest where when you invite friends, you get a certain amount of karma points. They go into a leaderboard kind of column,
Okay.
kind of thing. And the top 3 are going to receive a signed copy of Terrence Stamp's audiobook, and then the rest receive T-shirts. So it's for the various contests, but over time there'll be rewards for the people with the most karma points. So, but the other thing about the karma points is also shows your standing in the community.
it just shows how active you are.
Yeah, and
It's like likes on your Facebook page or.
it is, but it
But
also
you can't buy that. You
No.
actually have to be active.
yeah, you gotta be active.
Yeah.
But it gives you credibility too, because people will look like, for example, if you're a producer and you've done some stuff and people go look at your resume and whatever, but then they see how active you've been on the site, it gives you a little bit more clout and a
That's
little
right.
bit
You're
more
not a
credibility.
first timer on
Right.
there, and you've been active on there.
And you're
all that
active.
Stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. It's absolutely fascinating. I love your site. I signed up the other day on it. I haven't participated
About
yet.
time.
But I will. I mean, I think it's a great site for actors, filmmakers. Where do you see this going? I mean, this is not cheap to run. Who do you fund this yourself?
It's privately funded. We do our best to keep costs down.
Because there are no ads on the site. From the little bit I saw, there's no
No.
advertising on there.
No, and we have ideas in the future for monetizing it, but the one thing that we are definitely going to do is keep it free to the users. We don't want to charge for membership. There are other sites out there. You talk about scams. There are quite a few sites out there, and I'm not going to name them obviously, but that charge $15.95 a month, $12.95 a month, that promise a certain amount of auditions or a certain amount of views for and they're garbage. I mean, it's for lack of a better word, it's just all bullshit.
Yeah.
And the mission is to keep the site free,
Okay.
to keep it clean. We will find ways, and we do have ideas of monetizing certain aspects of the site. We also have a few other ideas in development for expansion that may include some monetization in there. And they're all coming. They're all down the road. Like I said, we're a small crew.
2-3 people. Right?
Yeah, and we wanted to get the site populated to a point where the most important goal was to get the site populated to the point where the mission of the site took hold, where people were again finding work and getting projects off the ground. Now that that's happened, and it continues to happen, and there's this legitimacy attached to it, all we want to do is continue to get the word out there. And the most important thing that we want to do is make a difference in people's lives. That's the first goal.
First goal, next is connect people with
That's
similar
it.
interests.
Give people a chance to see their dreams come true. The monetization will come, and some of the other ideas that may include monetization will definitely be all encompassing of that original goal, which is to help people get their projects made and get.
Where do you see this going?
Well, we hope it's going to be. I mean, it already is, but I hope it becomes just part of the parlance. As far as if you're a filmmaker or any film creative, a theater creative, a television creative, that it becomes synonymous with being in that business. And we just want the site to be not only a safe haven for your thoughts, your dreams, your ideas, and sharing all of it, but the place to go if you're fresh out of film school. If you're, you woke up this morning and decide you want to be an actor, that this is the place you go to start. You know what I mean? And if you're already involved in the business, this is a place you go to finish, to get your projects done and to see your things through.
Everyone at every level can find something on this
No
site.
question.
You can find somebody who can help you, advise you.
Absolutely. Our members range from film students, child actors, film students, all the way up to Academy Award nominees. So, it's as wide a spectrum as you can imagine.
Do you see yourself screening an outlet to show some of the movies people
Yeah.
are making on by hooking up on this site?
Yeah,
Because
and
there's so much of this independent filmmaking going on that we need a central place where you can start seeing some of these projects.
I totally agree, and it's sort of a pet peeve. You hit upon a nerve with me because the Academy, for example. We were watching the Oscars last year, and they had the best shorts and best short animated, and they bring in the nominees and they send them 60 rows back, and they show a 20-second clip of the nominated films, and then the winners come up and they get about 30 seconds to speak, and then they reel them off, and you never hear from them again, and you never get to see the films. And it bothers me that the Academy doesn't showcase these shorts on their site.
Yeah.
So, yes, what we want to do eventually is, if not in the form of festivals, which is something that we're actively examining, have a space online for members' work and for films that by 32 members that have had some recognition, and so that they could be seen. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's like we said, you can make a beautiful short, you can win all these awards, or even some of the full-length festival winners.
That's right.
You never see them.
Films, you
Never see them.
No, I think the site's very cool, and it's here to stay. I mean, the people we've interviewed, actors who made their own projects, the one thing they keep saying, advice, I always ask them, what advice would you give a up-and-coming actor?
Right.
And they said, just do it yourself, make your own project. This is a place to go, sign up for this site, check it out, see who's on there. This is a place to go meet, mingle online, virtually. It's safe. You can do it in your underwear, sitting at home.
That's the beauty of it. And nobody's going to judge
you.
you.
No one's going to judge you. And maybe you will end up making your own project and casting yourself in your own project. Anything more you want to add?
No, just come over to the site and you'll see me on your wall when you sign up, and say hi and get to work, man. You can't get it done if you don't go and do it.
If you don't go and do it, exactly. And you'll meet the same-minded people who are looking for it to do the same thing. Excellent, man. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I learned a lot about your site.
I appreciate it.
I think it's very cool.